And we're going to move on to Janet.
That's what I hear for the list. Hi there. Hi. I would like to read two poems. Interesting that she talked about that movie. I have two poems from either one of these new magazines. I'm going to ask you to decide which two. The two poems I was going to read from the upcoming cc&d book Wildflowers are related to Chicago, about the Chicago 7 and about the Great Chicago Fire. Actually, other two. Or you can choose the two poems that are in the to be released on the Dirt book, The End of the World, which both relate to World War II. One is about the written on the day for the suicide and from the perspective of Erwin Rommel, and the other one is for the birthday and about Himmler. So it's up to you. Do you want World War II stuff or do you want Chicago stuff? Somebody vote and tell me which I'm going to read.
World War II.
I think I heard two World War IIs and I don't know what the last one was.
Chicago. And Karen and I and somebody else are saying Chicago.
There are three Chicagos. Do I have three World War IIs or do I go with Chicagos?
World War II.
Well, I don't think I'm going to read them all because there's one long and one short, so I don't know which. I'm going to go with Chicago. And then
Chicago.
they said Chicago, then yippee skippy. That's what it is. This first one is called Judging the Chicago 7. I think it's funny because they're doing a movie about it now in 2020, about the Chicago 7. I'm like, that's funny. I wrote this thing that was written on the 9th of October, which was the day of the beginning of the trial, for the trial against the Chicago 7. Judging the Chicago 7. When things seem to go terribly wrong, protests and marches don't change the world. Don't take it from me, take it from Abbie Hoffman during his post-1968 Democratic Convention trial. Quote, I didn't particularly think that politics in America could be changed by marches and rallies. So what did they do? They all wanted to hold rallies away from the convention, march and the camp in Lincoln Park, all of which the city of Chicago wouldn't allow. Quote, what we were presenting was an alternative lifestyle. People of Chicago would mingle in Lincoln Park and see what we were all about. Yes, people were against President Johnson, and limited rally space led to the violent riots between Chicago police and protesters. And it took until the next president, Nixon, for a trial to actually start against the Select 7. Well, it was 8, but Bobby Seale so protested that he was bound and gagged in court, chained to a chair like a medical torture chamber, before he was separated from the 7. But wait a minute. A reporter for the Chicago Tribune was telling all of these facts. The only facts you need to know are that Abbie Hoffman, with Jerry Rubin and the rest of the gang, they decided that this trial seemed like such a joke, then they would treat it accordingly. After Judge Hoffman first said Abbie Hoffman's name, the judge said, "He's not my son." Which is when Abbie also said, Dad, why have you forsaken me?" Hoffman and Rubin went to trial wearing judge robes to give the world insight into their opinions on this trial. But when they were told to remove their robes, they did, to reveal cop uniforms underneath. The defense brought up musicians who weren't allowed to play their guitar. But when poet Allen Ginsberg went onto the stand, he asked what about a harmonium, and the judge tried to stop the madness, not before Ginsberg managed to hit a few bars before he was stopped. So back to my reporting from the Daily Chronicle, DeKalb newspaper. Ginsberg, in an effort to bring some sort of peace back into the trial, started chanting his mantra of preservation, Hari Hari, Hari Rama, Rama Rama, Rama Krishna, don't understand, which is where Judge Hoffman stopped this poet while the courtroom was still just laughing. The language of the U.S. District Court is English. I don't know what language that is we just heard, Judge Hoffman said of the song, which is when Ginsburg told him, it's Sanskrit. And this is when the judge actually responded, when you offer testimony in a foreign language, you must have an interpreter. And no, Ginsburg couldn't interpret himself. Okay, I'm reporting again, this isn't fair, but I think the point is that how this trial played out may be this. People can protest things when a government goes bad, even if the actions of the protesters end up becoming bad. And sometimes, after a while, you have to laugh at the whole system, which reveals itself to be ludicrous, because at times that insanity seems the only feasible alternative. I mean, look at your choices. Sane or not, which option will help you through this madness? Something for the Chicago 7 for you guys. And I will try to do a shorter one for that second one. I don't want that one. I have to find it. Where is it on the page? I'm having to pick the ones that are related to Chicago. Here's the other one for you. And this one is called Because of Fire. And it was written on the 8th of October for the start of the 1871 Great Chicago Fire, which lasted 2 days. So this is Because of Fire. When we see fire overtake an 850-year-old monument to religion, beauty, history, we are taken aback, helpless, suddenly aghast, at a loss against that primal silent killer. But we look at candles lit, hear the crackling campfire, we feel the fireplace warmth, and remember why a part of us still loves fire so. At times like these, we must remember that although a mass fire seems the symbol for death and destruction, maybe after that great fire that took over the only city I love, maybe that destruction only leads to building something bigger, something better, something that made more sense. Because when I stroll from one neighborhood to the next with diverse cultural backgrounds until I get toward the lake where I can turn back to span the most beautiful skyline I've ever seen, I have to realize that this history of destruction allowed us to make something so good, all because of fire. Boom. There you go. Those are my two for you. Thank you. And I didn't think you wanted me to do longer ones, so I won't do the other two then for you. So, but thank you. Thank you very much.